Hey everybody. So on the Facebook page, someone mentioned talking about a few different topics, and my brain immediately started to go on a tangent. So I'm going to try to address a few of them if my camera will stop falling, and just go over some of my immediate thoughts. So one of the things that was mentioned was life after body changes. So here's the deal with body changes. And I definitely feel this to my core after going through years of, and especially the last year, of body changes where every time I would go to the doctor, my weight would be heavier, and there's nothing I could do about it. I couldn't change it, and this is why I actually started telling the doctor I didn't want them to tell me how much I weighed, because it just wasn't healthy for me. And that's not necessarily true every time for every single person, or even for myself, this camera. So what I thought was, what if we told literally anything in nature not to grow? So what if we looked at a baby tree when it's first planted, and we look at how tiny it is, and a storm comes through? Obviously that baby tree is going to be the first thing that will go. It can also be the thing that carries a fire and lights up the whole forest, which could be an analogy for positive and negative things. But would you tell that baby tree not to grow? Would you tell it that its body can't change and it shouldn't take up space? Would you tell a seedling for a flower or a fruit or vegetable that it shouldn't grow, that it should stay in the ground, stay exactly how it started, and not go anywhere? And even after that, if you let it grow just a little bit and then you said, oh, that's enough, don't get to be too much. Think of your body that way. Our body is always carrying us through different phases of life. And even, I'll just use myself as an example, even in those moments of weight gain, as hard as it was with not having clothes fit, not having energy, my body was trying to tell me that something was wrong. But it's also my responsibility to meet my body where it was, to accept it where it was, and to grow in the ways that I could, instead of trying to force things that my body wasn't ready for. And I think that also helps try to bring into perspective some of the other things that were mentioned, such as how to make small nutritional habits. Just a quick note on that. Usually I like to pick, say there's 2 challenges to health. Let's say there's 2 meals that you have a hard time eating each day. Pick whichever one is still difficult but easier and tackle that. And then once you've done that for a few weeks, maybe go on to something else, and all sustainable stuff. I know that's a really brief mention of that. And then I wanted to talk about how motivation is BS. It doesn't exist. It's a very temporary feeling. Like, I view happiness as a temporary feeling, whereas joy and contentment is something that carries us, and we can have a contentment and still strive for more. But the motivation is something where you might feel motivated some days, and that's great, but you also have to have the consistency to take action sometimes when you don't feel motivated. If you're waiting for that motivation, kind of like in a relationship with a friend or family member, you might not always feel the love for them, but you know what actions are loving, and so you continue to take those actions, and it does help to also change how you feel. Not change how you feel, but stay constant in how you feel. And maybe that's a poor analogy, but hopefully that makes sense. I know there was another aspect I was going to address, but hopefully those 2 things, motivation and life after body changes, helps a little bit. I hope you have a wonderful day, challengers, and I will see you next time.